go to Chicago. Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures. All right, I guess you've got the seatbelt on and ready to go for today.
Yeah, I had my seatbelt on. I took my hard hat off just for this interview. It has been a roller coaster to start the week, and really kind of wrapping up last week into the weekend, talking with clients that there's really three possible outcomes. There's good news, bad news, and no news, with no news skewing a little bit more negatively, meaning that there probably wasn't any progress made in the way of tariffs, and that's what we got essentially, which led to a risk-off trade in the outside markets. But grains opened up fairly decent. There was a little bit of pressure early on in the Sunday night trade, but the corn, beans, and wheat all managed to hold their ground and trading back in positive territory this morning. So to me, that's a good sign that we're seeing some underlying strength in the face of this risk-off trade in the outside markets, where deleveraging across multiple asset classes has been a trend as of late.
All right, you mentioned it, so let's look at equities. Dow, again, we started the day quite a bit lower, but have kind of worked our way back up and then back down again. Dow mini futures there, 580 on the loss. NASDAQ showing a red as well, and the S&P, it's red. And I want to throw one more at you, the U.S. dollar index, and we've kind of kept an eye on this back and forth, 101.93 for the low today, and then $1 higher on the high side. Thoughts?
Just volatility. That's the theme of this week's trade. And if you zoom out and look at those equity markets on an intraday basis, you can see that we rallied from the lows of this morning up to about 4% in some of those indices on the back of a headline that there was going to be a 90-day pause with regards to tariffs. However, that headline was walked back by the White House, so we kind of retraced that big move higher just about 30 minutes ago. Now we're back to square one where we started. Hopefully we can kind of settle in and find an equilibrium here. A lot of the bad news is out in front of us here. So again, looking at the intraday spike that we saw this morning, a lot of the headline risk is now going to be potentially to the upside if there is any good news to come, thinking that we probably have a lot of this bad news somewhat baked into the cake. That's not to say we can't go lower, but certainly a good deal of the panic selling is likely subsided.
All right. Well, can we have our cake and eat it too? I guess we'll find out in a moment. We'll come back. We'll talk not cake futures, but how about cattle futures? Market day report continues in a moment. So let's bring him back in. Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures. By the way, thank you for the heads up on the expanded limits for the day, but we haven't had to use those.
Fortunately, yeah, we haven't had to use those expanded limits because they are rather wide, as you had mentioned. Still trading in pretty wide ranges, kind of in tandem with the outside markets. We're seeing the headline risk, which is largely unpredictable at this point, really push and pull market direction and overall sentiment. The fact that we're trading in a $10 wide range in May feeder cattle is something to take note of. Again, I hope we can start to find an equilibrium and settle out at some point, although I am still a little bit nervous here short term, live cattle and feeder cattle, that you could start to see additional long liquidation even if the volatility in the outside markets settle down. My concern behind that being, if you're a money manager managing lots and lots of money, I don't know how you're going to explain to your boss why you're net long cattle in the face of a potential global recession. Now, obviously, we can get positive headlines that can turn that narrative around rather quickly, but still a tall order in what's been a good trade for a lot of these managed money products. So something to keep an eye on. Long liquidation risk is still alive and well in the cattle complex.
Yep, great insight as always, Oliver. Great to see it. Also, like you sporting there the Huskers. So
go Big Red.
There you go, Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures. All right.